Good morning, friends. What city are you watching from today? Tell us in the comments and enjoy the story. Then why do you act like you hate him? Noah asked, and I stopped so fast outside Eli's bedroom that the floorboard under my sneaker gave a tiny squeak. I had only come next door because Noah had borrowed my phone charger earlier, and I needed it back before mine died. That was it, a 30-second mission. Walk in, grab charger, walk home. Instead, I was standing in the hallway of the house next door, listening to my names become the subject of a conversation I definitely wasn't supposed to hear. "I don't hate Oliver," Eli said from inside his room. My hand froze inches from the door. Noah laughed softly. Could have fooled him. There was a pause, and somehow that pause felt louder than anything else. Then Eli exhaled. "Because every time Oliver gets close to someone else, I lose my mind." My brain stopped working, completely. If someone had asked me my birthday at that exact moment, I probably would have needed multiple choice options. Eli Carter, the boy next door, the guy I'd spent nearly 2 years believing could barely tolerate me, had just said my name like I was the problem he couldn't solve. And apparently, the problem wasn't that he hated me. The problem was something else entirely, which would have been romantic if I hadn't spent the last 2 years collecting evidence that Eli absolutely, unquestionably disliked me. My name is Oliver Bennett, and Eli had lived next door long enough for me to know his habits better than I wanted to admit. His bedroom window faced mine across maybe 30 feet of grass and 2 driveways. His porch light came on every night around 10. He drank coffee without sugar, washed his car every Saturday morning, and had this annoying habit of looking directly at me whenever I walked outside with another guy. Not casually looking either. Eli would go quiet. His jaw would tighten. Then he'd suddenly become fascinated by literally anything else. A mailbox, his phone, a tree. Once, he stared at a garden hose like it had personally offended him. I always assumed that expression meant irritation. Apparently, I had been very, very wrong. The weird thing was, Eli hadn't always acted cold around me. When we were younger, we could talk across the fence without making everything awkward. Somewhere around 16, that changed. He started giving me short answers, started disappearing whenever I brought friends over, started looking annoyed whenever someone flirted with me. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I decided the attractive boy next door hated my existence and tried not to care. I was terrible at the second part, especially because Eli was impossible not to notice. He'd help my mom carry groceries inside, then barely say hello to me. He'd bring our trash cans up from the curb when it rained, then act like he'd done nothing. Once, when my car wouldn't start before school, he drove me without making a big deal about it, then spent the entire 15-minute ride answering me with words like, yeah, sure, and fine. That was Eli. Helpful enough to confuse me, distant enough to convince me I was imagining everything else. And now I was outside his room hearing Noah say, "You know Oliver thinks you can't stand him, right?" Another silence. My heartbeat climbed into my throat. Eli answered quietly, "Maybe that's easier." Easier? I leaned closer before common sense could stop me. Noah sighed. "For who?" Eli didn't answer immediately. When he finally did, his voice was so quiet I almost missed it. "For me." And suddenly, getting my charger back was the least important reason I'd come next door. I stayed outside Eli's door for exactly 3 more seconds before my survival instincts finally remembered how legs worked. Then Noah said, "You could just tell him." I stopped again. Eli gave a quiet laugh. "Sure, I will walk next door and say, 'Oliver, congratulations. Every time somebody flirts with you, I forget how to behave like a normal person.'" I pressed my lips together because laughing while secretly listening would have been difficult to explain. Noah said, "That would actually be more honest than whatever you are doing now. I am doing fine. You stared at his date for 10 minutes last Saturday." I was looking at the driveway. Very attractive driveway. I covered my mouth. Eli muttered something I could not hear, and Noah laughed again. I should have left. Instead, I stood there thinking about every strange moment between us. The garden hose suddenly made sense. The painfully quiet ride to school made sense. Even the way Eli disappeared whenever another guy came over made sense. Then Noah said something that erased my amusement. "What about Dylan?" Eli went silent. So did I. Dylan Parker had been hanging around me for the last month. He was easy to talk to, funny when he wanted to be, and very interested in reminding me that Eli was supposedly bad news. 2 days earlier, Dylan had shown me a screenshot that still bothered me. According to the message, Eli had written, "Oliver will flirt with anyone who looks at him." I had stared at those words until they stopped looking like words. I had not confronted Eli. I had simply decided they confirmed what I already believed. Inside the room, Eli finally spoke. "Dylan likes him." Noah answered immediately. "That was not my question. It does not matter. It clearly matters to you." Another pause. Then Eli said, "If Oliver likes Dylan, I stay out of it." Something uncomfortable tightened in my chest. There was no anger in his voice, no insult. He sounded resigned. Noah sighed. "You are unbelievable. Thank you." That was not a compliment. I almost smiled, but then Eli added, "If Dylan makes him happy, that is enough." I looked down at my phone. The screen was black now, battery dead. Perfect timing. I had spent weeks believing Eli wanted me gone, while he was apparently standing 10 feet away, trying to convince himself that my happiness mattered more than whatever he wanted. Suddenly, Dylan's screenshot felt different. Too convenient, too perfectly designed to confirm my worst assumption. I quietly stepped backward, but the floorboard betrayed me again. Creak, silence inside the room. My heart stopped. "Did you hear that?" Noah asked. Footsteps moved toward the door. I looked at the dead phone in my hand, then at the hallway behind me. Running would make me look guilty because I was guilty. The door opened. Eli stood there. His eyes dropped to my phone, then returned to my face. Neither of us spoke for one terrible second. I lifted the phone like evidence. "Charger?" Eli stared at me. "How long have you been standing there?" I smiled much too quickly. "Define standing." "Define standing?" Eli repeated, and somehow hearing my terrible excuse in his voice made it sound even worse. I lowered my dead phone. Okay, that was not my best answer. Noah appeared behind Eli and looked from him to me. "Oliver." "Noah." "Interesting hallway?" "Beautiful, great floorboards." Noah pressed his lips together, clearly enjoying my suffering. Eli was not. "Did you hear us?" he asked. There were several possible answers. Unfortunately, all of them required lying directly to his face. I heard my name. Eli's ears turned slightly red. "How much after that?" "Enough to know you have strong opinions about driveways." Noah made a sound suspiciously close to a laugh. Eli closed his eyes. "I am moving to another state." "That feels dramatic," I said. "You were listening outside my door." "Also dramatic." For half a second, Eli almost smiled. Then his expression changed. "Oliver, about what I said." My stomach flipped. This was it. He was going to explain everything, and I had absolutely no idea what I wanted him to say. Then my dead phone buzzed uselessly in my imagination, because apparently anxiety had sound effects now. I lifted one hand. "Wait." Eli stopped. "Before we do this, I need to ask you something." His face became cautious. "Okay." I pulled my phone closer to my chest even though it was basically an expensive brick. "Did you ever tell Dylan that I flirt with anyone who looks at me?" Eli stared at me, not guilty, confused. "What? That is a no?" "Oliver, I barely talked to Dylan." Noah stepped closer. "Where did you hear that?" I hesitated. Saying screenshot suddenly felt embarrassing. He showed me a message. Eli's expression hardened, but not at me. "A message from who?" "Supposedly you." Noah immediately held out his hand. "Show me. My phone is dead." "Of course it is," Eli said. I pointed at him. "This is why I came for the charger." Noah looked between us. "Great. The charger has officially become the most important character in this conversation." Eli disappeared into his room and returned with a white charging cable. He handed it to me carefully, our fingers almost touching before both of us noticed, and pulled back at the same time. That tiny moment should not have mattered. It did. "Come downstairs," Eli said. "Charge it in the kitchen." I raised an eyebrow. "Are you inviting the hallway criminal inside?" I need to see that screenshot. We went downstairs. I plugged my phone into the outlet beside the kitchen counter while Eli stood across from me, and Noah leaned against the refrigerator. The screen finally lit up. I opened Dylan's message and handed the phone to Noah. He studied it for 3 seconds, then 5. Then he looked at Eli. You did not send this. Eli shook his head. Noah zoomed in. Oliver, look at the timestamp. I leaned closer, my stomach dropped. The screenshot showed Eli sending the message at 8:42 Friday night. I remembered that night clearly. Eli had been in our backyard helping my mom fix the patio lights until almost 9. His phone had been sitting on our outdoor table beside mine the entire time. Noah handed my phone back. Dylan did not show you proof. Eli looked directly at me. He showed you exactly what he needed you to believe. So what do? I asked. Noah folded his arms. First, stop believing screenshots delivered by suspiciously helpful people. Eli gave him a look, very supportive. I am excellent in a crisis. I stared at my phone again. Dylan's message suddenly looked less like evidence and more like bait I had swallowed without thinking. I feel stupid. Eli answered immediately. Do not. I looked up. I believed him instead of asking you. You already thought I disliked you. Eli glanced away. I gave you plenty of reasons to think that. Noah pointed between us. Wonderful. Shared responsibility. Emotional growth. Can we focus on the guy manufacturing conversations? I almost laughed. Almost. I opened my messages with Dylan and scrolled backward. Most were normal. Coffee plans, jokes, complaints about classes. Then I noticed something. Every time Dylan mentioned Eli, he pushed a little harder. Eli is weird around you. Eli thinks he is better than everyone. You should stop giving him chances. I turned the phone toward Noah. This started before the screenshot. Noah read silently. Eli stayed across the counter, jaw tight. Why would Dylan care this much? I asked. Eli hesitated. Noah did not. Because Dylan likes you. I looked at Eli. You said that upstairs. Eli suddenly became very interested in the kitchen counter. It was an observation. A jealous observation? Oliver. I am asking for scientific accuracy. Noah covered his face with one hand. I regret being here. That finally made Eli smile, and seeing it directed at me did something inconvenient to my concentration. I looked back at the messages before my face could expose me. If Dylan wanted me away from you, why fake this instead of just asking me out? Noah shrugged. Maybe he thought you would say no. Eli's smile disappeared. Or maybe he needed Oliver to choose him, without realizing there was a choice. That landed differently. I scrolled farther. 3 weeks earlier, Dylan had texted me after seeing Eli and me talking beside the mailbox. You know he makes fun of you when you are not around, right? I had ignored it then. A week later came another message. Eli told somebody you follow him around. Also false, apparently. I placed the phone on the counter. He has been building this for weeks. Noah nodded. One little lie at a time. Eli looked at me. Has he ever shown you anything else? I thought about it, then remembered a voice message Dylan had sent after a party. I opened the thread. The audio was still there. This. I pressed play. Dylan's voice filled the kitchen. Trust me, Oliver. Eli does not want you around. You are better off with people who actually choose you. Silence followed. Eli stared at the phone. Noah's expression changed first. That is interesting. Why? I asked. Noah looked at Eli, then back at me. Because Dylan told Eli almost the exact opposite thing about you. My chest tightened. What did he tell him? Eli hesitated. That you called me creepy. I stared at him. I never said that. I know that now. What else? Eli's eyes met mine. That you wanted me to stay away from you. The kitchen suddenly felt very quiet. This was not one fake screenshot anymore. Dylan had been feeding both of us different versions of the same lie. I picked up my phone. Okay. Noah raised an eyebrow. Okay, what? I looked at Dylan's name on the screen. I think it is time he tells me why. Do not text him yet, Eli said, and my thumb stopped above Dylan's name. Why? I asked. Noah straightened beside the refrigerator. Because if Dylan knows we figured it out, he gets time to invent another explanation. I looked between them. So what are you suggesting. Eli leaned against the counter. Ask him something only the person who created that screenshot would need to explain. I stared at him. That sounds suspiciously clever for someone who spent 2 years pretending driveways were fascinating. Noah laughed. Eli pointed at me. I am reconsidering helping you. Too late. You gave me a charger. We are legally a team now. His mouth twitched. I opened Dylan's messages and typed one simple question. Hey, can you send me the original conversation that screenshot came from? I showed Eli before sending it. Good? He nodded. I sent it. 3 dots appeared almost immediately, then disappeared. Appeared again. Disappeared again. Noah leaned closer. He is writing a novel. Finally, Dylan replied. I deleted the conversation after I took the screenshot. My stomach tightened. Convenient, Eli said. I typed again. Then how did you get a private conversation between you and Eli if Eli barely talks to you? This time the 3 dots did not appear. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Noah checked the kitchen clock. I think we broke him. My phone finally buzzed. Dylan wrote, Why are you suddenly defending him? I looked at Eli. Eli looked at me. That is not an answer, I said. No, Eli replied. It is not, I typed. I am not defending anyone. I am asking where the message came from. Dylan called me. All 3 of us stared at the screen. Answer it, Noah whispered. I accepted and put the phone on speaker. Hey, I said. Dylan sounded casual, but too casual. What is going on? I am trying to understand something. There is nothing to understand. Eli talks about you behind your back. Across the counter, Eli raised his eyebrows. I kept my voice calm. Then send me the original messages. Silence. I told you I deleted them. Dylan, you also told Eli that I called him creepy. Another silence, longer this time. Who told you that? He asked. Eli's expression sharpened. Noah silently pointed at the phone as if to say, there it is. I swallowed my anger. Did I say it? Dylan exhaled. Oliver, you are missing the point. Then explain the point. His voice changed. I was trying to help you. By lying to both of us, Ellie was never going to tell you how he felt. The entire kitchen went still. I looked at Eli. He looked genuinely stunned. Dylan continued. You kept waiting around for someone who would not choose you. I gripped the edge of the counter. So you decided to choose for me? Dylan said nothing. That silence answered more than anything else. You wanted me to stop trusting him, I said. I wanted you to notice me. There it was. Not an apology. A confession. I looked directly at Eli before answering. You could have asked me out. Instead, you made me doubt someone I cared about. Dylan went quiet. Oliver, no. I am done letting you explain my choices to me. I ended the call. Noah slowly nodded. Well, Eli watched me carefully. You okay? I set the phone down. Ask me tomorrow. Then another message appeared from Dylan. I opened it, expecting an excuse. Instead, there were only 6 words. You still do not know everything. You still do not know everything. I read Dylan's message twice before turning the phone toward Eli. That sounds reassuring. Eli did not smile. Noah pushed away from the refrigerator. Do not answer. That was my plan 5 minutes ago, I said. Then somebody taught me strategy. Eli ignored that. He wants you curious. I looked at the message again. Unfortunately, it was working. Congratulations to him. Another message arrived. Ask Eli what happened at Ryan's party last month. My eyes moved to Eli before I could stop them. His face changed. Not guilt exactly. Recognition. What happened at Ryan's party? I asked. Noah looked at Eli too. Eli rubbed the back of his neck. Nothing involving Dylan's version of reality. That answer contains an alarming amount of lawyer energy. Eli sighed. You left early, I remembered. Ryan's house had been crowded, loud, and approximately 900 degrees. I had gone home before midnight. And? Eli looked uncomfortable. Dylan found me in the backyard afterward. Noah frowned. You never told me that, because there was nothing worth telling. I folded my arms. I am currently the president of deciding what is worth telling. Eli almost smiled, but it vanished quickly. Dylan asked whether I liked you. My stomach performed an unnecessary gymnastics routine. What did you say? Nothing. Nothing? I walked away. Noah stared at him. Ellie, someday historians will study your communication skills. Eli gave him a flat look. Thank you. I focused on the important part. Why would Dylan bring that up now? Eli's eyes stayed on mine. Because before I walked away, he said you had already told him you were not interested in me. I blinked. I never told him that. I know. Did you know then? Eli was quiet. That answered me. I leaned against the counter. So that is why you started avoiding me after the party. Partly. There is a partly, Noah muttered. Of course there is. Eli exhaled. The next morning Dylan sent me a screenshot. My stomach sank. Of what? A conversation between you and him. I already knew I was not going to enjoy this. What did fake me supposedly say? Eli hesitated. That you thought my crush on you was embarrassing. For a second nobody spoke. Then I laughed once, but there was nothing funny in it. He really covered every exit. Noah nodded slowly. He told Oliver that Eli mocked him, and Eli that Oliver mocked him. I looked at Eli. You believed it? I wanted not to. That is not what I asked. Eli met my eyes. Yes. Weirdly, that hurt less than I expected, because I understood it now. We had both been handed exactly the lie we were already afraid was true. I picked up my phone. Send me the screenshot Dylan gave you. Eli pulled out his phones and found it. A moment later mine buzzed. I compared the image with the one Dylan had sent me. Same layout, same cropping, same tiny blur near the top. Noah leaned over my shoulder. Those were made the same way. I looked at Eli. Then we stopped asking Dylan to confess. Eli frowned. What are you thinking? I saved both images and opened my messages. He wants me curious enough to chase him. I smiled without humor. I think we let him believe it worked. Send him what? Eli asked. I looked at Dylan's message thread and typed slowly. Maybe you are right. Maybe there are things Eli never told me. Can we talk tomorrow? Noah read over my shoulder. That is disturbingly convincing. Thank you. Eli frowned. I do not like it. I looked at him. The message? The part where you meet Dylan. Something warm flickered under my ribs despite everything. You worried about me? Eli held my gaze. Yes. Noah immediately looked toward the ceiling. I suddenly miss being anywhere else. I sent the message. Dylan answered within 30 seconds. Coffee shop near campus. 10 tomorrow morning. Come alone, I showed them. Noah said naturally. Eli shook his head. You are not going alone. He specifically requested the opposite. That is exactly why. I leaned against the counter. Ellie, I am meeting him in a public coffee shop, not entering a secret underground headquarters. I know. Then trust me. That stopped him. His expression softened. I do trust you. The words landed harder than they should have after everything we had learned. I lowered my voice. Then let me handle Dylan. Noah pointed at me. With evidence. With evidence, I promised. The next morning, I arrived at the coffee shop, 5 minutes early, and chose a table near the front windows. Dylan walked in wearing the same easy smile that used to make me think he was harmless. He sat across from me. I knew you would come. You sounded confident. Because I know you. I almost laughed. That seems to be today's topic. Dylan leaned forward. Did Eli finally admit what happened? Some of it. And you still trust him? I looked down at my coffee like I was uncertain. I do not know who I trust anymore. Dylan relaxed immediately. That was when I knew our plan was working. Oliver, I never wanted you hurt. Then help me understand. I placed my phone face down on the table. Show me how you got those screenshots. Dylan's smile weakened. Why does that matter? Because if Eli lied, I want proof. He studied me for several seconds. Then he pulled out his phone. Fine. He opened a folder and angled the screen toward me. My pulse jumped. There were more screenshots, more fake conversations. Some with my name, some with Eli's. Dylan quickly scrolled past them, but not quickly enough. What was that? I asked. He locked the screen. Nothing, Dylan. Old stuff. I sat back. You said you deleted the conversation. His face changed, just slightly. I deleted the original messages. But kept the screenshots? Oliver, you are getting distracted. There it was again. Every time I asked the right question, he told me I was focused on the wrong thing. I looked toward the front window. Across the street, Eli stood beside his parked car, far enough away to keep his promise, but close enough that I could see him. Dylan followed my eyes. His expression dropped. You brought him? No. I looked back at Dylan. I asked him to trust me. Dylan's jaw tightened. Then why is he here? My phone buzzed once against the table. A message from Noah. Got it. Clear photo of the folder screen. I kept my expression neutral. Maybe because, unlike you, Eli finally learned that caring about someone does not mean choosing for them. Dylan stared at me. I picked up my coffee. And you just showed me exactly what I needed. You planned this, Dylan said. His voice was quieter now. I set my coffee down. I asked questions. You answered them. Noah took that photo, did he not? I did not answer. Dylan leaned back and looked toward the window again. Eli was still across the street beside his car, hands in his jacket pockets, keeping exactly the distance I had asked for. You think this proves something? Dylan asked. It proves those screenshots did not come from conversations you accidentally deleted. His expression hardened. You have no idea why I made them. You finally said made. Dylan froze. I almost smiled. Thank you. He looked away. You are twisting my words. No. I spent weeks letting you twist mine. That landed. Dylan reached for his coffee but stopped before touching it. I was trying to keep you from making a mistake. Eli? He would have hurt you. I shook my head. You do not get to invent something terrible and then call yourself protective. Dylan lowered his voice. You chose him anyway. This was never a contest. It was to me. For the first time, I believed him completely. I picked up my phone. Then you should know what happens next. His eyes narrowed. What does that mean? Ryan is in the student activities office, right? Dylan went still. Ryan had organized the volunteer committee Dylan and I both worked on. And half the fake conversations involved people from that group. Oliver, you used their names. You made it look like they said things they never said. Do not make this bigger than it is. I stared at him. You made it bigger when you involved other people. I stood, leaving my untouched coffee on the table. Dylan stood too. Wait. I am done waiting. I walked outside. Eli crossed the street only after I nodded. You okay? He asked, getting there. Noah emerged from the bookstore next door, phone already in his hand. The photo is clear. Very clear. I looked at him. Send it to me. Eli studied my face. What are you going to do? Give everyone Dylan used the truth he kept taking from them. That afternoon, Ryan met us in a campus conference room. I showed him both fake screenshots, Noah's photo of Dylan's folder, and the messages where Dylan contradicted himself. Ryan stared at everything for a long time. He used my name in one of these, I know. And Maya's Jordan's too. Noah nodded. There are more. Ryan's expression changed from disbelief to disappointment. I am removing him from the volunteer committee while the university reviews this. I felt something unclench in my chest. Not because Dylan was being punished. Because he could not quietly keep doing it. My phone buzzed before we left. Dylan, you ruined everything. I stared at the message, then typed one final reply. No. I stopped helping you hide it. I blocked his number. Outside the building, Eli walked beside me in the cool afternoon air. That looked satisfying. A little. Only a little? I glanced at him. I am saving the rest for when you finally explain the other part. Eli stopped walking. What other part? I smiled. You said avoiding me after Ryan's party was partly because of the screenshot. His ears turned red. Oliver, there it is again. My name is a complete sentence. He looked toward the sidewalk, then back at me. Fine, tomorrow night, my porch. I will tell you everything. Everything? Everything. I held out my hand. Eli looked at it for half a second before taking it. Deal, I said. He did not let go. You are late, Eli said, when I stepped onto his porch the next night. I checked my phone. By 43 seconds. I counted. That is either adorable or deeply concerning. He smiled and handed me a mug of coffee. The porch light cast a warm circle around us. And for once, neither of us had Dylan standing invisibly between every sentence. I sat beside Eli on the steps. So, the other part. He stared into his mug. I avoided you because I believed the screenshot. I know that part. I also avoided you because Dylan asked whether I liked you, and I realized I could not honestly say no. My heart forgot its job for approximately 3 seconds. That seems like useful information. Eli laughed nervously. I was terrified. Of me? Of ruining what we had. Of saying something and watching you look at me differently. I nudged his shoulder with mine. I have been looking at you differently for weeks. He turned toward me. Good differently? Painfully good differently. Eli laughed under his breath. You really make everything difficult. You live next door. Avoiding me was never a sustainable business model. His smile faded into something softer. At Ryan's party, before Dylan found me, I almost told you. I blinked. When? You were leaving. You said goodnight, smiled at me, and I followed you halfway to the door. I remembered him calling my name through the crowd. I had assumed he wanted my jacket back. Why did you stop? Because I lost my nerve. Then Dylan found me outside and asked the one question I was already afraid to answer. Eli looked down. The next morning, that screenshot arrived. It felt like proof that staying quiet had saved me from embarrassing myself. Except it cost us weeks, I know, and several extremely awkward driveway encounters. Those were mostly your fault. Absolutely not. He smiled again. I let the silence settle before asking, so what happens now? Eli placed his mug beside him. Now I stop letting other people speak for me. He turned fully toward me. Oliver, I like you. I have liked you longer than I know what to do with, and apparently my solution was becoming the weird neighbor who avoided eye contact while memorizing when you took your trash cans out. I stared at him. You noticed my trash schedule? Please focus on the important part. I laughed so hard I had to look away. When I looked back, Eli was smiling, but his eyes were nervous. I held out my hand. I like you too. He took it immediately. You could have mentioned that sooner. I was busy thinking you hated me. I was busy thinking you were embarrassed by me. We are incredibly smart, clearly. He squeezed my hand. I leaned closer and asked, Can I kiss you? Eli's smile answered before his voice did. Please. The kiss was brief, gentle, and somehow worth every ridiculous misunderstanding that came before it. When we pulled apart, Eli rested his forehead lightly against mine and laughed. Noah is going to be unbearable. He already is. My phone buzzed. Noah had sent one message. Finally, I showed Eli and we both laughed. 2 days later, Ryan told us the University Review had confirmed Dylan created and circulated the fake screenshots. Dylan was removed from the volunteer committee and barred from representing the group at campus events. He also had to answer directly to the students whose names he had used. I did not celebrate. I did not need to. Dylan had wanted to control what everyone believed, and in the end, the truth was the one thing he could not control. A week later, Eli and I sat on the same porch steps, our shoulders touching and our hands linked between us. He glanced toward my house next door. You know, this would have been easier if you lived farther away. I smiled. Too late. He squeezed my hand. Good. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with friends who might enjoy it too. We would love to know where you are watching from. Tell us your city and country in the comments. More heartfelt and unforgettable LGBTQ stories are already waiting for you. See you in the next one.